All right, this is the Big Douglas Show, and my special guest today is Michael Haas. Mike, how are you?
Living the dream. How y'all doing?
Doing good. Glad to have you on. You know what time it is. 53-man projections and cut downs are coming very soon. That's what we're here to talk about. So let's get into it. Let's start with the most important position on the field, the quarterback. How many are you keeping on your final 53?
We have to keep three. Just from everything that's happened the last few years, and I'm not the one that likes to look backwards, but Heineke doesn't have the best health, background. So you got to keep three. Plus, Kyle Allen already knows the system, so it's not like you have to pick up somebody from the street like we did with Sanchez and and that whole
The
crew.
list goes on.
Yeah, the list goes on.
That's right. Now, I'm with you. I have Fitzpatrick, Heineke, and Allen on mine, although I would think that either Allen or Heineke can get to the practice squad and clear waivers. I have a feeling that they're not as high league-wide as maybe they are here in the district. So I thought about going with two. I'm with you. Three seems like the way to go. I assume you have Fitzpatrick starting.
Absolutely. No question. When you were talking about Fitzpatrick not being just a 1-year thing, I don't think he's a 1-year thing. I think that it's all up to him and his performance. But if he can get one good year, doesn't have to be special, just one good year, 17 games and a playoff game, oh, he'll be here next year. And even if we draft somebody, he will be here next year.
Completely agree with you. You're right. If you watch this or listen to the show, you know I've been on that. I think if he plays anywhere near respectable how he was in Miami last year, he'll put up enough numbers to keep him here for at least another year. To your point, maybe draft a quarterback, one more year of Fitz, boom, you're in there. I love it.
Yep.
Next, let's move to the running backs. This is an interesting one for a lot of people. I've got three on my final 53. What say you?
Tres, Sanchez, tres.
All right, here we go. I love it. Now, who's the third running back?
Jared Patterson.
No doubt.
Even though he had a couple drops there, when I was looking back over the last game, which made me sick to my stomach just watching. Before I even go there, let me tell you what Ron did to me. He was talking about having the starters come in and playing the last game, and then he left me feeling so vulnerable, and he asserted his dominance over me while he just said, "Oh, I'm gonna have AGG start," and all 5 of our receivers that we knew that were locks not playing. When you're down to I was so shocked because I worked all day that day. I didn't get off till like 11 p.m. I heard no news, and I said, "Record on YouTube TV," and I was like, "What? Huh?" I felt bamboozled and vulnerable.
It left you feel. I appreciate that. It was an interesting strategy.
Yeah.
I mean, I assume he knew who his starters were already and needed to see a lot of work out of the guys that probably were on the bubble. It surprised me, unlike you. I kind of thought that maybe they'd get at least a quarter, particularly since the first team offense really hadn't moved the ball that well. Well,
Yeah.
they actually moved the ball quite well, racked up yardage. They just didn't score very many points.
Yeah.
Back to the running backs. I'm with you. I think Patterson makes it, and not just because he's one of these, preseason hype guys everybody falls in love with. The kid can run the football, and he's really the only pure running back on the roster, as the other two guys were wide receivers. And I also think that, and I'll say this a couple times before this episode ends, Patterson's one of those guys that I think if he hits waivers, won't make it. Whereas I think if Peyton Barber clears waivers, it can hit your practice squad. The new practice squad rules allow guys with that much seniority and vested years to go to the practice squad. So I'm with you. 3 running backs. I don't think you need the 4th because I think the guy that they want is Peyton Barber, and he can make the clearing waivers on the practice squad. It also leaves them room to go out and get somebody if somebody gets cut from another team that they really like.
Yep. And there's always going to be great running backs that are cut. And I'm not talking elite running backs, but there's going to be backs that are cut just for the numbers game. And everyone knows that if something were to happen, the easiest transition for anybody to come off the street would be running back. It's
Correct.
the easiest transition.
Correct. I agree. How many tight ends do you have on your final 53?
3.
We are simpatico again. Thomas, Bates, and who's the third tight end?
I got to go with Reyes. And everyone wants to talk about the Ricky Seals-Jones, and he has the experience, and yeah, he has that. But after watching the film, he was missing blocks left and right. He did better than Hemingway, and he's better at getting open in routes. But Reyes, he has something special, and it's not there. It's not there yet. But the coaches see that, and the coaches see his violence at the point of attack. They see him 30, 45 minutes after practice working on his game. You don't see Hemingway doing that. You don't see Ricky Seals-Jones doing that.
Well, and Seals-Jones is another one of these guys that I think clears waivers and get on the practice squad. I mean, that is a wide receiver at Texas A&M that basically is a shift tight end now. To your point about the blocking, he ain't it. So I would rather, and the coaching staff has kind of done this, right? They find lumps of clay and just feel like they're smart enough coaching-wise, technique-wise, to get these guys where they need to be. You can't teach a guy to be 6'5", 250 with a 42-inch vertical.
No, not at all.
How to run routes and how to catch footballs. So I'm with you. I don't think Reyes, again, maybe we're homers, but I don't think Reyes makes it through waivers to hit the practice squad, which is why I'm with you, would be on my final 53.
No, I mean, he wasn't going to get drafted. I mean, he was a basketball player, but there were a lot of teams that were rumored to be interested in him and watching his workout.
Yes. And it's nice. He chose Washington on purpose. And I would have to imagine it's because somebody said to him, hey, listen, Pete Hunter, the tight ends coach there, is the real deal. And if they want you, go look at Logan Thomas.
Yep.
All right. I think we've come to what has been the most debated position throughout the, Washington football team universe. It's wide receiver. I have spent so much time talking about this. It makes me crazy. And just to end up at a point that was probably so predictable. So let's start here. How many wide receivers do you have on your final 53?
I wanted to say 6. But I feel like we have to say 7 because of AGG. Because AGG has shown some sort of life, you have to keep him as number 6. Like Cam's a lot. Humphreys is a lot.
I've got him here. Let's go through them. I'm with you. I've got 7. I went 7, even though I assumed I'd go 6 the whole time.
Yeah.
McLaurin, Samuels, Browns, Cam Sims, I think are all locks.
Yeah.
I had been on record saying it would not surprise me if Humphreys gets cut simply because he is a slot-only guy. On this 53, I really kind of went with what I think they'll do, not what I would do. I have Humphreys on the list. I assume you have Humphreys on the list.
I do. Yeah. I have Humphreys because, like I said, the telltale sign is who was not playing this last preseason game. Humphreys wasn't playing. Correct. Neither was Cam Sims. No. Yeah. They have them on that roster. If they really had a battle, between him and Dax Milne, then Adam Humphreys would have played.
Well, you brought up Milne. I still have Milne making the final 53.
I do too.
Okay. And then it sounds like you have AGG making the final 53, whereas I have Carter making the final 53 for his punt returning capabilities.
I wanted to have Carter as my 7th, right? And I was thinking, both Carter and Milne, they could clear waivers. The only thing that I worry about with Milne is what if Zach Wilson, who's doing very good in New York, says, that's my guy, bro.
Right.
Get him.
Yes.
But that's the only team out of 31 teams that's not Washington that would pick him up. Carter is interesting because you see the traits, you see his vision as a specifically as a carrier and going to return. But in all reality, Dax Milne has the best hands. And what hurt us last year was five fumbles on returns. Like 5. 4 of them were from Steven Sims, right? The one was from Isaiah Wright. But 5, had we just secured that, we could have been in a lot better position going forward. We could have won 2 games. 2.
The other thing I'll say about Carter and AGG, I searched for it desperately, couldn't find it. There was a report that a guy that covered the Bills put out, and I used the Bills a lot because Ron Rivera has specifically said that they have kind of used the rebuild up there to take notes on what they're doing here. And I want to say the Bills have only not kept like 3 players since Bean got there that they drafted onto their final 53.
Yeah.
So to me, that speaks something. And it's why I wonder if Carter, maybe they're just not that concerned. To your point, Milne can do the punt returning. I guess Humphreys has done it as well. So AGG on the final may be more practical just because they drafted him.
Yeah.
And it would seem like they'd like to keep the guys that they drafted. I mean, why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Okay, so far we're right on the numbers. Let's finish up the offense with the offensive line. How many offensive linemen did you have?
9. And I would go for 10. And I've been catching some heat and going through hell on Twitter because of this. Because I want to be on record to say David Sharp is the most unathletic player in the NFL. He's literally in the 1% in almost every athletic category. He's absolutely atrocious. And he's good in a power scheme. That one positive year he had graded for the Raiders, think about that Raiders offensive line. Everyone was 330 and Gruden was doing a power run scheme, right? Where he didn't have to go laterally. David Sharp is a liability, and a lot of people want that the tackle, but I have made it my point to show people on Twitter that Sadiq Charles has played exceedingly well at tackle, even though he's had 4 errors and 1 loss. Because in those games, you also see how fluid he is as a lateral mover, how he gets to the next step to the linebackers to block going forward. And then when he does anchor and he has his hands up high, how he keeps defenders from getting to whoever was there, Heineke or Allen. Yeah. So you see the upside with Sadiq, and you know that he can play, just like Ron said, 4 out of the 5 positions, position flex and speed. Yep. That is the emphasis. So
securely right tackle number 2 at the moment.
Right tackle number 2. He's also left tackle number 3. I mean, because
yes, he is.
Yeah, he's right guard number 2. I would say right guard number 3, left tackle number 3, but right tackle number 2.
Yes. So I've got Leno, Cosme, Lucas. Let's see. Here's the start: Leno, Cosme, Flowers, Scherf, and Rouillet. I've also got you got Lucas and Charles making the team. Obviously, Schweitzer makes the team. The 9th one for me actually was Sharp because I think they like him. I'm assuming it's not your 9th. Who is your 9th?
Mine is Larson. Okay. I'm not big on Larson, but he's a center. You need to have somebody else to play center, right? And I'm not big on Larson, but I've just been extremely disappointed in Ismail.
Me too.
And
they are too, because they were high on them. We had Matthew on last year before the season ended and before they had extended Rouillet, and they really thought maybe they weren't going to extend Rouillet because Ismail, could have got right in there. I'm with you on that one. It's a shocker.
Yeah. So, and you needed a backup center, so I would go with, because that's just how important the center position is. It's like he's calling out what he's seeing, just how the mic is calling out what they're seeing. And like I said, like I don't like David Sharp. You know, like if he doesn't fit the position flex. He doesn't have any type of speed. And if you look at Cosme, you look at even Leno. Leno has a lateral quickness that is pretty like the 75 percentile for his position. I mean, literally, David. As a matter of fact, I'll show you. I'm gonna read it real fast. I'm gonna tell you this just because I kept note of it. I was so disappointed. So
I
40-yard dash.
Okay, go ahead.
40-yard dash is 5.44. That's 13% out of 100. 13%, and that's out of his position. Right. And then speed score is 78.3. Right. Normally you see like for offensive linemen like the 90s or something. 78.3. That's 30th. Burst, which is how fast you get off the line, right, is 83.4. That is the bottom 1% in the entire NFL on offensive linemen alone.
Sold me.
And then he has bench press. Yeah, I'm saying bench press. He's 343 pounds. How many times do you think he bench pressed?
Would hope over 20.
19. 19. And I get it. You have long arms. It's harder to do it with long arms, but come on, bro.
Well, I like it. I got Sharp out then, and Larson. You know, the nice thing about Rouillet is he doesn't miss games. I mean, I not missed very many games at all. All right, let's get to the defense. We were pretty close, and I think I really think that's what the roster will kind of look like. Yeah. It maybe not Reyes, maybe it's.
I'm a Sharp hater, so just like I know who I am.
We've all got guys we love, and we've all got guys we hate. No doubt about that. All right, let's get over to the defense. I've got 9 D linemen making the team.
Okay, I've been back and forth with this, so I think I stuck with 9 too, which kind of I have to go with 9. Like I have to go with 9 just because I think that James Smith-Williams is versatile. I feel like he can play inner D line as well, even though he's extremely athletic. I feel like he could be that. We already know that the D tackles, there are like 4. There's 4. The issue comes with me, Shaka Toney. I loved him as a prospect. Like when I was evaluating players, I loved him as a prospect. And I said, you know what? I think he could fit Ryan Anderson's old role perfectly. Like perfectly. But I don't think this defense is going that direction. So I don't think they're going to have that role that they made specifically for Ryan Anderson. I don't think they're going to have that this year.
I agree.
So,
and I think they're going to kick Jonathan Allen out to end a bunch more this year.
That would be interesting because he can do it.
Yes. I have Young, Sweat, James Smith-Williams, Tuhill, Allen Payne, Ioannidis, Settle, and I have Bada making the team.
Ooh.
I think they like him. Now,
I like him too.
He doesn't count against their practice squad because he's an international player.
Yes.
So technically, that's a spot he could go and you wouldn't have to worry about it. I actually have in my notes at the bottom of the page, Barber over Bada question mark. So, I mean, that might be where you take one out and be able to add one in, or Bada goes to the practice squad after the 53 if someone's released somewhere else that you like. But that's
Bada would be protected though, right? Because of the international rules. That's what I thought.
I believe so.
Yeah.
I think so.
Okay.
Well, I don't know how the protection works, because if that's the case, then it ought to work for Reyes too, or is he not part of the international program?
I don't think he was part of the international program because he played college basketball in the States.
Okay. All right.
You get what I'm saying? Like I think Bada's like from Germany, like in Germany, and it was they were kind of bringing it up. That's what I thought.
I've got to look into that because I'm not quite sure.
Yeah,
but that feels like the right way to go on that D line. The most concerning position group to me might be these linebackers. Yeah. I've got 5 making the team, and I'm not thoroughly excited about the depth there.
I got 5 too. My D linemen were different from yours.
Okay, let's have my bad.
But I have Chase, of course. You have Sweat, of course. You have Allen, Payne, Ionitis, Settle, of course, right? But then behind that, I have James Smith-Williams. I like William Bradley King, and I have Casey Toohill. And the reason why I do that, because I feel that Smith-Williams is so versatile that he could be a D tackle as well. He's a little more sturdy and stout in the frame.
Yep.
So, and I like Toohill.
He's down weight this year.
Okay, wow.
So he played, he played, and I'm sure you already know this because I know you know your stuff, but when he was at NC State, they were playing him out of position. Then he got that injury. And they said he was about 20 pounds heavier last year than where he should be, which is why he got all the D tackle work. So my understanding is he's down like to 280 now, something like that.
But see, even 280 is it can be a great thing for a defensive tackle.
I think they'll move him. I think I think he's in for a big year, like a settled type year this year. 5 sacks.
Yeah.
5 sacks.
He's going to have a lot more opportunities.
Okay. And I like Bradley King. I like both of the edge defenders that they drafted this year. I think both of them probably could get to the practice squad. Although either one of them making the team would not surprise me nor upset me.
Yeah.
What do your linebackers look like? You said you got 5. I've got 5. Davis, Holcomb, Bostic, I think, are locks. Then I have Hudson, who I think is a lock. Although Kalik has not played nearly as well this preseason as I had hoped that he would. I really had thought big things for him.
He did look a little bit better. I felt like the first preseason game, he was kind of like, he didn't do, for how fast and athletic he is and how much of a hitter he is, he seemed a little hesitant. But of all the things that happened the last couple games, specifically last game, which I don't even want to talk about, he looked pretty solid. Like in coverage, there was a pass breakup that he had that I was looking at it like, I said, oh my God, please, Huntley, not again. And he ended up breaking up that ball, and it was all pure athleticism. So I think he's a lock. They like him. I like him. And I think there's a lot of potential in him. The last one I have is Mayo.
I did too.
Yeah, Mayo.
I think it's self-explanatory. Go look at the rest of the linebackers. You'd be hard pressed not to put Mayo in there.
Yeah,
Mayo by default.
Yeah, by default. Yes, by default. Jesus. All right,
I've got. I'm telling you that linebacker depth is really the only thing that scares me about this roster. The depth overall is kind of what lets reminds you that this team really is still rebuilding. I've said this before. I think the starting 11 on each side can compete with any starting 11 in the league.
Anybody.
I believe that. I don't think that's hyperbole. But when you start getting to the depth, it's in some of these position groups, it's shaky. All right, I've got 6 cornerbacks making the team. What about you?
I got 6, and that's because they refuse to get rid of Appy. So there's going to be 6. They're going to refuse to give it to Appy. So there's going to be 6. And McTire is going to be 5. The other 4 were already locked in: Jimmy and William Jackson, Fuller, and Ben St. Jude. So that's.
And I'm with you. McTire, Moreland, and Apke round out the group. People are tired of hearing about Apke, but the fact is, they really think he can play corner. You can't teach a guy 4.3 speed. He didn't. They had wanted to move him last year, but there was no training camp, so it made it really more difficult. Yeah, either Jack or Ron has come out and said when they made it this year that they had wanted to do it last year without a preseason, without training camp. Really much to speak of. They thought better to leave him at safety and let him play where he's been playing at. So I didn't know that. Got work to do. Yeah, they know he's got work to do. He knows he's got work to do. But he plays on every special teams team.
Yeah, and he's really good on special teams. And I don't mean like all-star level, but I'm talking about how fast he gets down that field. Yep. Like, ooh, and he plays all 4 phases of it. So like.
Yes, every team. Yep.
every part of that special team. So he's a lock. And as much as we all give him grief, like he has looked better being on the outside. Now, I don't think that he will ever be good in the slot because it's too much open space. But with the athleticism and the speed that he has on the outside, and if he can trust the help inside, then he could, I don't want to say thrive. He could be serviceable outside.
I totally agree. And again, you just can't stress enough how important having these guys that play all the teams are, because then you need them. I mean, you got to have them. All right, and then at the safety spot, I'm assuming that leaves 5 left. So you've got 5, I've got 5. Collins, who frankly has looked fantastic. If he's anywhere close to New York Giants level, then it's basically like adding another free agent this year.
Yeah,
because they really didn't get much out of him last year until that very last game. And so, I mean,
I had no hope for him. Like I noticed this is the craziest thing is like I had lost all hope for him.
Yep.
And I don't know if it was the pessimism of like past free agent Burns, but like I was like, I said, I don't know. And then the Achilles, I said, he's never going to be the same. And you're right, he's not the same. He's better than he was before. Like the way he's flying around, and I'm not just talking about that one hit. I'm talking about the practice. I'm talking about everything. I was like, I said, okay, all right. He's trying to make sure he stays with that contract.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, he heard the talkings and came back out. I'm just amazed he came back that fast. I mean, I thought for sure he'd start the year on the pup list.
I was sure about that too.
Obviously, is a lock. I think it's interesting that they've got him playing free safety, but hey, they had Everett playing free safety for a couple games last year and looked pretty good. Yeah. So we'll trust the staff to have that right. I mentioned Everett. I have him making the team. Do you?
Yeah, he's special teams captain.
And again, that's why. Do I think he's the greatest safety on the planet? No, you know who he is by now. But special teams captain is special teams captain. I'd be surprised if he didn't make it. Bobby McCain, I thought was maybe one of these sneaky cuts. Again, he got rested the other day. I think his position is a lot. Right?
Yeah, they have a plan for him.
And I am biased. I am a Reeves believer. I
like Reeves.
So
I like Reeves, but I don't think I really want Reeves to be on this team. And especially because Derek Forrest hasn't shown anything that Reeves has. But Derek Forrest has shown how fast and how aggressive he is. But that fast, explosive, and aggression also came to bite us when he pulled, like got fooled by the quarterback doing the bootleg.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Bad rep.
But since he was a 5th round pick, I'm almost like, I think the smart thing is to go Reeves. But if they go with that Buffalo style, then they'll go with Forrest.
That's completely fair too. And I'm trying to look, and it is not necessary to keep all 3 quarterbacks either. I mean, you could make room for another guy if you're really wanting to, because again, I don't know that Allen or Heineke, and frankly, if you lose one of them, I mean, are you really that set back that far? Like, I mean, you can go find quarterbacks that are familiar with the system. So we won't go backwards because I'm with you. I think they will keep 3, but just a remembrance of when you try to shake these rosters out, that these things are going to still be fluid. This roster still won't be, even if we got all these right, this won't be what it looks like on opening day. They'll have picked up some guys and moved the guys around. So that's it. And of course, we know the special teamers, the kicker, punter, and the cheese man.
The cheese man.
So
there's a couple interesting things regarding the roster.
Yep.
Like the more and more I think about it, is we tend to put players in this like box, right? And when it comes with Cam Curl in particular, like Cam Curl plays 5 positions. like he even plays outside linebacker. And when I was going over to film last year, I was like, there were times he was at linebacker. He was at free safety last year. He was in a boxing safety, Buffalo nickel, big nickel. It's been incredible. And another guy, Logan Thomas, like, I don't think people understand just how well Logan Thomas played and how he's going to fit in this offense, because he played wide receiver last year. He played tight end, slot wide receiver. He took off some handoffs and jet sweeps, and he even threw the ball.
Yeah, people will forget that. I mean, he was a highly touted tight end prospect coming out of high school. Virginia Tech didn't have a quarterback, and just said, "Hey, we need you to switch," and then the rest was history. So, I mean, really, he's only been playing tight end again for the last couple of years, and I can assure you that they see Greg Olsen all over him.
Yeah, I see that. I see you. It's scary to think that, like, the comparisons of, like, you know, when Chase Young first came out, they were talking about Julius Peppers, and then you think about Logan Thomas, and you think about Greg Olsen, and it's like, man, I think we have hybrid versions of things that Ron is already familiar with. I think Chase Young could be all-time great. And I'm not just saying that because I'm a homer. I'm saying that because of film. And I look at things, you know, he could have had 13 sacks last year. Like, he could have had it. It was, they were this close.
Well, for a large chunk of that season, he wasn't fully healthy.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Go run a race car without the right wheels on. That's how it works.
Yeah.
Mike, we wrap all these before the season starts. I'm curious what makes a good season for you this year.
I would say playoff win. Like, playoffs is not getting to the playoffs is not good enough. Like, it's a playoff win, and building off last year. Watching New York Giants play makes me mad, because they're our weakness, and they're our weakness for a reason, because all their passing game is horizontal and 5 yards and below. RB flats, you have tight end drags, you have RB and tight end screens, and then you have comebacks and hitches from the wide receivers, or they want to play quick slants. What that does is 3-step drops and run game. Our weakness is our inability to consistently stop the run. We have moments where we're stopping the run, and then all of a sudden we're not in gap control. That goes with linebackers, or we over pursue on the defensive line. So they can run the ball. Their offensive line's terrible at pass pro, and that's the reason why they're doing all these little horizontal pass, because they don't trust their offensive line. So why they're going to put 5 and 7 step drop backs? They're not going to do that to Daniel Jones. So how are we going to get sacks? How are we going to get sacks? We have to hit the ball, or we have to force them in 3rd and longs. And in order to do that, you have to stop the 3-yard pass here, 4-yard run here, 3-yard pass here. Because what that leads to is 3rd and 2s, 3rd and 3s.
Right.
And that's our biggest hurdle. A lot of people talk about the Chargers, and yeah, that's going to be a tough game. But what we need to do for ourselves and our identity is stomp the living hell out of New York Giants.
I agree with you completely. Need that game.
We need that game. Need that game.
How many wins?
I go with 11. I think the floor is 9. I think the absolute highest ceiling right now is 12. I'll go with 11. I think we get 10, but 11 is if we beat Chargers.
I love it.
If we beat Chargers, it's 11.
Mike, this was a lot of fun. We should have done it earlier. We'll do it again. Tell the people where to find you on Twitter.
Oh, at Michael Haas. I want to say 3587, but at Michael Haas.
I'll have it on there. Give the man a follow on Twitter. He's excellent. Excellent. And I mean that.
It's been a pleasure.
Mike, I appreciate you.
All right, man. Big love, Big Doug.